Hello, and welcome to Badger Talks Live, which brings exciting happenings, resources, and talent from your UW flagship campus to the people of Wisconsin and beyond. I am Sasha Sundaresh from Fishers, Indiana. I'm a rising senior studying social welfare and legal studies with a certificate in studio arts photography in the UW-Madison College of Letters and Science. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce Program Director of the Wheelhouse Studios, Taylor Franklin. Today, Taylor will be sharing tips on how art making can help play a role in self-care for all of us. I know that I have been to the Wheelhouse after a stressful week and used the open studio as a nice de-stressing activity many times. Another one of my favorite things the Wheelhouse organizes is their Free Art Fridays, which I love to go to with friends. So I'm very excited to see what she has for us today. With her degrees from UW-Madison, Taylor is a professional artist, dancer, and educator. She has 16 years of experience as an art educator in higher education, community education, arts-based nonprofits, and for the Wisconsin Public Schools. Please welcome Taylor Franklin.
Hi, welcome everyone, and thank you so much, Sasha, for the lovely introduction. And welcome everybody to Badger Talks. And I am so honored to be here with you all today. And I'm excited to show you 4 different art making techniques that can help with self-care and reducing stress and anxiety during this very challenging time in the world. So I'm happy to be here to be able to give you some tools for your toolbox so that you can relax for the next 40 minutes or so and learn some simple techniques of drawing. All you need is a piece of paper and a pencil, and just follow along. I'm going to be doing every step of the way with you. The first thing that I'm going to show you is something that is called drawing your breath. So it's just a way to warm up and start connecting the calming of your thoughts with the writing utensil that you're using. Maybe it's a pen or pencil or marker. It doesn't matter. You can use whatever utensil you want. And then I'm going to show you something called Lake Superior stones. Third, I'm going to show you spiral drawing for meditational properties. And then lastly, blind contour drawing. So before we get started, I wanted to just show you some of the drawings that I've done as a way to meditate, as a way to center myself. And it doesn't need to be a fancy drawing. It doesn't need to be the most amazing masterpiece you've ever done. It's just simply a way to center yourself just the way that someone might use meditation beads or counting sheep when you're going to sleep. So it's just kind of an anchor point. So speaking of blind contour, it's one of my favorite ways to draw. And the main reason that I really like it is because it separates your judgment and your eye from your hand, because you're not looking at your paper. And so it allows you to just draw a scribble while you're really paying attention to the object that you're drawing. I will show you more about that later, but I wanted to show you, this is a blind contour drawing that I did of my orchid before it had bloomed, and it ends up looking really mod and sort of abstract. So this is the blind contour drawing of my orchid. And so I wasn't looking at the paper, I was just looking at the orchid. Here is a drawing that I did, again, of the orchid after it had bloomed and it had dropped its flowers. And so, again, it wasn't anything super fancy, but I just took a few minutes to draw a plant that was in my house as just a calming activity. So there's the orchid just sitting on a stool. I find that if you spend enough time on a drawing, it ends up looking really interesting and gives it texture. And so I ended up, I found a spirograph at a thrift store a while ago, and I ended up just playing around with that. And it ended up being a really great drawing, and it was a very calming activity. So here's just spirograph designs that I created all over the page and then just colored it in with colored pencil. So really, it didn't take much skill. It just took me a really long time, which adds to kind of the calming quality of it. So here's my spirograph. Oops, there we go. So I just wanted to show you a couple of ways that I use meditative drawing to find a pause in my day. Another suggestion that I will say before we get started is that it's a great idea to keep a journal of your drawings. It could be woven into a written journal and draw pictures within it. But it's just kind of a nice way to take a pause even in your workday or while you're studying and your brain is really activated. So it's a way to calm and step away from your computer during this very technology heavy time period. So let's get started with drawing your breath. And all that means, there's really no right or wrong way to do any of this, but I'm going to show you one technique that really works as a way to just start noticing the inhale and exhale. Okay, so first of all, I want you to just pause for a moment and think about the seat below you. It could be a chair or a stool or the couch or the kitchen table, but just being present, noticing you sitting on that chair, the floor below you, and the earth that's below the floor that you're sitting on. Just to pause and center yourself and find a grounding moment. Now with that, I want you to also start noticing the inhale and exhale and the air entering your nose, and I would encourage you to exhale with your mouth as a way to also center yourself. And then the third step is I want you to get out your drawing utensil, and you're going to draw an upward line when you inhale, and then a horizontal line. It could be going to the right or going to the left. It doesn't matter. When you're pausing, I would encourage you to try a pause, and then a line downward when you are exhaling. And you end up with a really interesting design. Again, it's not about the end point right now. It's just about the doing. It's about creating the drawing right now. But I will say the added perk is that you end up with some really beautiful drawings at the end sometimes. Not always, okay? So here we go. So you can watch and then just jump in whenever you're feeling ready, okay? So I'm inhaling up, pausing over, exhaling down. Okay, here we go. And I'm running out of room, so I'm going to go back the other way. So how did that feel? You are welcome to interact with the chat And let me know what that felt like. Did it help you notice your breath more? What was it like? I'd love to hear from you, and we can see how that went for you all. All right, well, maybe you're all so relaxed and calm that you don't want to break away from your drawing activity and you don't want to chat, and I get it. So let's move on, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the chat. So let's move on to Lake Superior stones. Now, I used to call this a circle activity, but what I found is that people started to, and I get it, I understand, people started to worry about the circle not being a perfect circle. And I really, really don't want you to be worried about that, because it's not what this activity is about. What this is about is the calming effect of making a repetitive pattern on your page, okay? The other piece is we can connect our breath to the drawing of the stones, and I'll show you how. Oh yeah, and I just got a couple of comments that it's a little tough to have a natural breath when you're focusing on it. I know, totally. And much like if you've been to a yoga class or you've tried different meditation techniques, you do some breathing work that isn't your natural inhale and exhale. You're really taking those intentional inhales and pauses and exhales just to get started. So it wasn't necessarily meant to feel natural. But yeah, great. Paid more attention to your breath. Horizontal line drawing was a little tough. Yep, I get it. All right, let's keep going. So Lake Superior stones. I like to call it that because we are so lucky here in the Midwest to be near all these gorgeous Great Lakes, and the stones that are in the lakes are so beautiful that it reminds me of what that looks like. So what I want you to do, I like to draw a square. Again, doesn't need to be a perfect square or anything, but just a shape to draw inside. It's nice to have a compact area. So I'm going to start with that. Okay. And now you're just going to start by drawing stones or circles or ovals, however you want to interpret it. And there's two rules. The one rule is you need to complete the circle, because that is essentially asking you to intentionally and carefully draw that stone. So this is what I don't mean, because I'm not spending the time closing the circle, okay? So the first one is close the stone. Second rule is to have the stones touch each other, much like you're building a stone path, okay? So I'm just gonna pick a place to start. You can make them all different sizes. Don't need to be uniform in any way. Okay, so I want to add something to this. I want you to notice, are you drawing your stone in a clockwise or a counterclockwise way? And that's my coffee machine. My coffee's ready. And I want you to try intentionally drawing your stones just one direction for a few times, and then switch your direction. So I'm going to do going to the left right now. Still following our other rules, but I'm starting and going in the left direction. And now try switching your direction. It's going to feel different. All right, we're building our stone path. And the last part is I want you, again, this doesn't need to be a hard and fast rule, but I'm wondering if you could pair your breathing with the drawing of the stone. So you're probably going to be drawing your stone a little slower, but that's okay. So thinking about 1 breath per stone. You can pick your direction. I find that I like to do an inhale for 1 stone and an exhale for another stone. Let me know what that feels like for you. All right, so I'm not going to fill in my full square right now because I'd love to show you the other 2 techniques today. But how did that feel? What did you all experience when you were doing the Lake Superior stones? Oh, and Deb says Lake Superior stones is like her own doodling. Yeah, a lot of people have kind of your default doodle mode, and maybe this is Deb's default doodle mode. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on to spirals. Spirals is a really fun one. It's very simple, and all you're gonna do, I like to, again, start with the square shape or just A shape, but I'm gonna start with the shape. It's a very similar concept as the Lake Superior stones in that you want the spirals to touch, okay? So there's just, I think, just 2 rules to the spiral one, okay? So the spiral one is you just pick a spot. You want to draw this rather slowly because I want to challenge you to create your spiral with the same amount of spacing between each revolution of the spiral. When you feel done with that spiral, you stop. And then the next one, I want you to gently have it touch just like you did with the stones, okay? So you don't need to start anywhere in particular. I'm just gonna plot my marker here. And you can see when I start, I'm going carefully to be able to put equal spacing around the spiral in between each revolution. And if you get too skinny or too wide, that's okay. Just correct it and keep going. I might just keep going until I bump into a wall. All right. It reminds me a lot of a labyrinth. If any of you have walked through a labyrinth before, it looks like one to me. If you probably can't see too much because we're a little too far away. But so now I'm going to start my next spiral somewhere kind of near the one I left off. Same deal. And here I am, I'm bumping up against it, so I'm going to stop. And just keep going and adding those spirals. Okay, and I want to add one more thing. Whatever direction you are drawing your spiral, I want you to try doing the opposite direction for your next spiral. I'm just seeing some comments. Strange to draw reversing and following breath. Yeah, that is. I know, it's almost like the patting the, you know, the tummy and the head kind of, it's hard to do at the same time. So try reversing the direction of your spiral now. Yeah, and also used different left or right for inhale and exhale. Oh, yeah. That's a cool idea. Rhythm of inhale and exhale per stone is calming. Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that, Yvonne. Awesome. All right. Should we try our fourth line contour? I hope you're all doing well and that you're enjoying this so far. I wish I could see you in person, but this is the best thing we can do, and I'm just so happy and feel really honored that you're all in this space with me today. So I don't think I said that, and so I hope you're enjoying it. So, okay, line contour. Now, in this situation, you can pick whatever object you want that you're looking at. It could be a pencil that's sitting next to you. It could be a plant. It could be a coffee mug that's next to you. If you don't have something next to you, go grab something. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Seriously, just anything you have around the house that maybe has some interesting shapes. So I am going to pick, I have this little basket. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to set the basket on this shelf in front of me, so you can't see it, unfortunately. But I'm going to stare at the basket, and I'm not going to look at the paper. So you'll be able to see what happens, okay? So I'm looking at the basket, and this is a way, you might be wondering, why in the world are we doing this? This is simply a way for you to connect your eyes to an object and follow along the contours or the edges of the drawing. The other rule is you can't pick up your pencil. So I'm not going to pick it up. It's not supposed to look exactly like it at all. It's just going to have the essence of that object. And it ends up being really interesting and fun, even though it might be sort of a strange looking doodle, okay? So here I am, and I'm just gonna, so I'm looking at the basket right now. So I'm doing the curve here, and then I'm gonna come up, and then I see the lid, and then the handle here, And then I'm going to go down because I see these little triangle. And I'm not picking up my marker here. And then there's these other triangle designs on the other side. So that's my blind contour basket. Oh, I'm going to try something else now. Actually, I have this Monstera plant right here. So I would encourage you to just try a couple different objects. It's really fun, and it just loosens you up and helps you not get too worried about it looking just like the thing, or really having you know, an artist background of any sort. It's just a fun activity. Okay, so I'm going to try doing the Monstera. Hopefully I don't draw on the wall. So I'm going to try really careful. I'm going to start right here and just do it really small. Okay, so I'm going to start with, that's the flower pot, and then here are the leaves, and I'm following them. Wow, it's a little tough. I hope that you're enjoying this. How is the blind contour feeling? Yeah, Denise, with the equal spacing, it's tough to keep that with the spiral, and that's kind of part of it. And you're welcome, Yvonne. Meredith, yes, it is very challenging to not look at the object that you're drawing. Oh. So as far as that blind contour goes, just to let you know, we're all somewhat confined or very confined at home. And I want to let you know that art materials don't have to be fancy. This is a co-op grocery bag, but it makes a really nice piece of paper for you to draw on. I cut up grocery bags because it's this really beautiful butcher paper. And so I just drew it with a pencil. I created the table line behind it, and then I just colored it in with colored pencil. So it ends up being a really interesting drawing when you make a border. And then when you spend the time coloring it in, I'm not saying this is the most fabulous drawing in the whole world, but it was really satisfying to create. It was really fun, and it was using a grocery bag. So I hope that you all got something out of this. I would really encourage you to take some time in your day to experiment and see what kind of drawing techniques work for you, and perhaps create a drawing journal. You could cut out a bunch of, if you don't have a journal at home, cut out a bunch of these pieces of butcher paper and staple them together, or tie them together with string. But just spending some time away from your computer with the more analog activities like drawing with just a simple piece of paper and a pencil. I'm going to take a couple questions here, and we'll be able to wrap things up. Oh, someone did a blind contour drawing of a UW mug. Awesome. Oh, someone felt like they got taken back to grade school when they did that. That's great. Is it better to do these in quiet or listen to music? That's totally up to you. I like really deep quiet, so I actually have noise. They're not noise canceling headphones, they're just headphones that aren't connected to anything, and they make it really, really, really quiet. But there's no limits or rules. You can listen to music, you can be outside, you can be indoors, even just at your work desk. Another thing I will tell you, if this works for you is, for some people, drawing something or doodling something, this is all just the same thing, right? You could potentially do that during a meeting, just as a way to center yourself and calm yourself, and you can listen really well at the same time as that in certain circumstances. So try it out, see what works for you. Oh, good. I'm so glad you're here, Jan. I'm glad it was useful. So thank you all so much. If you have any other questions, you can put them into the chat. I am so honored to be here with you. I have so many different drawing techniques that I needed to just limit it to these 4, but I hope you use them in your daily life. And please keep in touch with Wheelhouse Studios. We have a website as part of the Wisconsin Union website. We'll put the links, I think the links are going to be on the welcome screen at the end. But if you just Google Wheelhouse Studios in the Wisconsin Union, you'll find us. We have private group event options that are done virtually. Lots of fun. Meditative drawing is one of the options, so that I would be your facilitator for that activity if you're looking for a team building activity on campus. You also can absolutely pass this along to students and community members. We're available for all. We also are, we have some Wheelhouse Art at Home options that are also on our website. So you can see, actually, this blind contour drawing is one of the examples of something that you can do at home with some simple at-home, probably things that you already have at home, so that you don't need to go buy a bunch of fancy art materials. So we're building the library of art at home that you could do on your own. And that's a free resource that we have on our website. So we have lots of different options going on. I'm also leading a Wellness with Wheelhouse program once a month. That's also free. So if you keep tabs on the Wheelhouse website and even get on our newsletter, you will get notice of all of our Wellness with Wheelhouse programs that are going on. We've already done 3 this summer, and we're going to continue doing that, knowing that art making is a very calming activity. It's something that can be a very powerful tool for self-care and stress management. So again, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it, and hopefully you will all not be strangers, and I will be connecting with you in some other way in the future. So thanks again, and I'm gonna pass it off to the Badger Talks folks.